Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is just a quick preview for a heavyweight fight that is on the undercard of Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte 2. And that bout is between Filip Hrgovic and Demsey Mckean. Now, this is a battle of two unbeaten heavyweights. Filip Hrgovic has a record of 15-0, 12 knockouts. Demsey Mckean has a record of 22-0, 14 knockouts. As I say, both guys undefeated, but, you know, both guys come into this fight with something to prove. First and foremost, Demsey Mckean is completely unproven. Yes, he's got a snazzy record at 22-0, but when you look at his record, primarily been fighting in Australia, hasn't really fought the highest level of competition. When you look at his resume, his best win is a 10th round TKO win over the tough journeyman Jonathan Rice. So he's coming into this fight really trying to make a name for himself and gatecrash the heavyweight division, whereas Filip Hrgovic, when this guy turned pro, obviously he was a decorated amateur. I think he was a silver medalist in Rio 2016. You know, top amateur for many years. And when he turned pro, many people were excited, including myself. And, you know, his initial fights, he looked pretty good, I would say. However, in the last few years, I've certainly jumped off the Filip Hrgovic bandwagon. I've not been impressed with several aspects of his career in recent years. First and foremost, the inactivity I think is a problem. Filip Hrgovic has never really been able to get any serious momentum in his career, and I know on a couple of occasions it was due to guys ducking him, like Michael Hunter, but you know, he could have fought more in my opinion. And also one other thing I noticed about Filip Hrgovic, as his career's progressed in the pros, I think he's put a little too much excess weight on. In some of his most recent fights, I've personally felt Filip Hrgovic looks a little too flabby. It kind of takes away from his foot speed, hand speed, and explosiveness. I just think he's looked a little sloppy recently, even before the Zhilei Zhang fight. Now, that Zhilei Zhang fight caused a lot of people to jump off a bandwagon of Filip Hrgovic. Many people felt he lost that fight, including myself. It was close because the knockdown Zhang scored in the first round wasn't a real knockdown in my opinion. And in retrospect, given how Zhilei Zhang performed against Joe Joyce, that result or that performance looks a little better. And it has to be said, on that night, it looked like Filip Hrgovic wasn't fully there. To me, he didn't look focused. He was behaving strangely in the ring. He was turning his back on Zhilei Zhang. And yeah, he just didn't look comfortable. I know before that fight, he lost his father quite recently before that fight. Maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe mentally he wasn't in the right frame of mind. But regardless, I would certainly say the hype for Filip Hrgovic has died down significantly in the last 2 to 3 years. And I think with good reason as well. But it's his opportunity to get his name back out there. He's fighting on a big card of a big main event. So it's a good opportunity for Filip Hrgovic. And of course, he is still very highly ranked in the IBF. I think he is actually the IBF mandatory, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe he's putting that status on the line against Demsey Mckean. So when you look at it, both guys have a lot to prove. Hrgovic wants to get that reputation back that he lost. And Demsey Mckean just wants to prove he's a somebody in the heavyweight division. So there is a lot to lose here, especially for Filip Hrgovic. Both guys are in and around their athletic prime. Filip Hrgovic is 31, Demsey Mckean is 32. Both of these guys are 6'6", so they are big lumps. They can crack a bit. And, you know, Hrgovic is an orthodox fighter, whereas Demsey Mckean is a southpaw. And that's another interesting aspect of this fight. Hrgovic really struggled to contend with Zhilei Zhang's straight left hands out of that southpaw stance. And I wonder whether, you know, Demsey Mckean's going to look at that and try to replicate a similar game plan. Demsey Mckean isn't as powerful as Zhili Zhang, so I'm not expecting it to really work out for him, to be honest. But, you know, he should look at what Zhili Zhang did and try to replicate some of it. Zhang was really good at punching in between Hrgovic's shots and countering him effectively, especially in the first half of that fight. So maybe Demsey Mckean can try to do something similar. Despite all that, despite both of these guys being big lumps undefeated, I do make Hrgovic a significant favourite. He's got a long history in amateur boxing, very experienced, etc. And even as a pro, despite his competition being lacking, he still fought better guys than Demsey Mckean. So Hrgovic is far more experienced. I believe Demsey Mckean started late. He may have been a rugby player or something like that. I may be wrong, but I'm sure I've heard that. I think he's a late starter to boxing, and you can kind of tell that in his style. He is a little clunky to a certain degree. When you look at him fight, his style doesn't flow as much as Hrgovic's, for example. So listen, I would take Hrgovic in this fight. I would take Hrgovic by knockout, but given it's a heavyweight fight, both guys are big lumps. Hrgovic looked really bad in his last fight. Anything can happen, right? Anything can happen, and I'll be interested to see how Hrgovic looks in this particular bout, but I'm glad he's fighting somebody with ambition, because before the Zhili Zhang fight, Hrgovic was feasting on such low-level competition, and I wondered whether fighting those low-level guys back to back to back, plus the inactivity, stagnated Hrgovic's development. Maybe we'll find out in this fight. But yeah, for me in this fight, the expectations are on Filip Hrgovic to really turn up and to really put on a performance to, you know, get some of that hype back, get some of that momentum back, you know. We shall see. I think he'll do the job, but he has to look good doing it, in my opinion. He has to look good doing it. But yeah, it's interesting enough. You know, like I say, it's a big opportunity for Demsey Mckean. I don't suspect he will, you know, win this fight, but you never know, right? You never know. So I'm looking forward to it. But I would pick Hrgovic by stoppage in this fight, maybe mid-rounds, something along those lines. But yeah, share your thoughts below. Does Demsey Mckean stand a chance, in your opinion? Or like me, despite Hrgovic's, you know, inactivity and questionable last fight, are you still picking him to win this fight by stoppage? Let me know below. Beanie Guy Delboy, just a quick little preview, no full prediction, but yeah, I am taking Hrgovic by mid-round stoppage. Share your thoughts below. Peace.